Hey guys, it's Cherokee with Tutorial Grid, and I am going to show you today how to make a cool little sphere energy core, which looks a little something like this. Got a bunch going on here, a lot of little wavy things, and it's in 3D space, and it's just a cool little energy core that I kind of created. Got the center and a lot of stuff going all around it. Pretty cool. But we have our little layers here, and it's actually pretty simple to create. So to create this, let's go ahead and create a new composition. I usually, for something that is pretty square and spherical, you don't really need a widescreen aspect, so I'm going to create a square. So I'm going to create a high definition square at 1920 by 1920 at 24 frames a second. And we're just going to make a little 5-second sphere, so we'll just hit that and put 5 seconds. Something real quick, just a little sphere. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get this started. Alright, another thing I also like to create is a, it's called an action safe. This basically tells us what's going in screen, what's off screen. I have a title action safe on just for that purpose. But let's go ahead and get into this. So we're going to create a new solid. Now this is where we actually create the color of our ball. So for mine, I think I'm going to, let's create something a little evil. So I'm going to go and make an orange, kind of pretty bright orange actually. Got peach, orange. It's more like a, that'll do. Something kind of crazy. So that puts down our solid here, and then we're going to create a mask. And we're going to go ahead and scale that mask down. Actually, we're going to go do this. Mask expansion. We are going to lower the expansion of this to where it is a small little ball. And that's going to be in a perfect center. And just a small ball. Then we're going to feather it out. Go ahead and feather that ball out. Okay, so that just kind of creates us a small little ball. And we're going to go ahead and set this to add, and you'll see why here in just a second. But that's one ball, and we're going to create another one. So we're going to go ahead and Control D. We're going to duplicate that, and we are going to change the expansion on this one as well. Be a little bit larger. So let's create that ball there. A little bit larger. Notice we have a center core. That's our hot spot. And then we're going to actually feather this out a little bit more. That way it looks a little more natural. And I think I'm going to create a smaller ball. So I'm going to select that and change the expansion on it as well. Actually, make it a really hot ball. Just cool. All right, now that we got that, this is the big basic step. So we're not going to create this into a 3D object just yet, because these are pretty much is our start point. So now let's create this small core that we saw in the other video. Layer, new, solid. We're going to make a black layer. Then we are going to go over to particle world. Particle world. Go ahead and drag that over. I notice it creates a grid, but this little particle is right there in the center. We'll be able to use this in our 3D space whenever we get it set up. So we're going to go ahead and turn off this grid though, because I hate looking at that grid. It usually messes me all sorts of up. So just kind of get a glimpse of what this does. These particles shoot out, and it looks kind of cool. But we're not going to use this particle. We're going to use a different one. But before we start out with that, we want to go ahead and start with this already shooting out. So we are going to move this layer over just a little bit and then expand it out. So this means our particle is already going. So now we are ready to make this into something cool. So first off, we're going to go into our producer settings. Actually, first off, we're going to go into our physics. We're going to go ahead and change the gravity to 0. That way it's just going to fly out kind of like that. And we are going to change the resistance. So we're going to have these the resistance up just a tad. That way we aren't going to get out of our circle. So these are just going out into this field, and then they're cutting off around there. And velocity is okay. The big thing that I'm going to focus on this ball is I'm going to change the way this is animated. And I believe the one I like to use is called twirl. Now that means our ball here around the very center, we have these twirly kind of figures that are just going around in circles, and then they are going out and being crazy. But let's see here. We're going to change this particle. So we're going to go into our particle settings, and we're going to change it to faded sphere. Now the faded sphere kind of look is good. I like using this, but for we are going to change what the sphere actually looks like. So that's, you can kind of get a sense of what this is doing. I'm gonna go ahead and change to a quarter. That way it's a little bit faster. See how these are going around in circles? That's pretty much what we're going to be creating. Is this little circular, spherish thing that goes out. Alright, but we're going to go ahead and change the birth size, and we're going to make it kind of small, as well as our depth size. This is going to be our inner core. And we're actually going to go ahead and change the birth rate to a lot. Just a crazy amount. No. We're going to change it to just a few. Just kind of make it a little bit more sporadic. Yeah, it looks pretty good. As well as the size variation. I kind of like the sizes being up just a little bit, as well as the opacity. I like them being almost up all the way, pretty close, just because I like actually seeing them. And on our composite transfer, we're going to hit add. That means all our stuff in the center is going to be really, really hot. Okay, let's see here. Volume shaded. I don't really like that. But we're going to change our color since we don't have a whole lot of red going on in our transfer. I'm going to change this into our orange, kind of a brightish orange, not a pink. I want a peach. Oh, yeah, that'll work. Kind of an off color, and I'm going to change this to almost white. Almost white. So we have this orangish white spherical ball going on. All right. Then I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this again, and I'm going to go down here into our physics, and I'm going to change the resistance once again. So this is going to bring in an inner ball that is just going to twirl around and just have all sorts of fun in the middle. So you kind of see how this is going. We have the ball going around here. That's creating this core-ish look. And then we also have the ball outside, which is creating more of a larger core. And it's only going out so far, so it's looking pretty cool. One thing you can do to add to this effect is to add motion blur, which I always do. I always like to add some motion blur just because it gives that sense of realism. It's actually like in the camera, and you know, just looks a little bit more real. Everything's moving around in 3D space. You really want that really cool look. All right, now for our next effect, what we saw on the other ball were these rings, like these really big spherical rings moving around in circles around our little sphere, around our core. those are like a shockwave type ring. So we're going to go into our layer, new, solid. Go ahead and create that black solid again. We're going to type in Shockwave. There are presets. Now I'll have this preset for download. It's something I kind of found out how to create, but I'll put this in the product description down underneath. If you want to download that, you can, or you can try a different kind of Shockwave look. But what we're going to do, we're just going to go ahead and drag Shockwave down. And notice we don't see anything except for up here in the corner. Now, what we're going to want to do, we're going to hit the center key, and we're going to center this up right in the center of our Shockwave. Now you got to make sure you get that right. Almost right in the center. That's going to look kind of off. So there we go. Got that centered up. And it looks kind of weird. Not really. Well, it does with that orange, but we're going to change all of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the radius, bring that up to our action safe. So now we have this cool spherical look going on right here. Really kind of cool. And then we are going to change our ring size just a little bit, kind of like the larger look here. And we're going to go ahead as well. We're going to change our normal to add. It's not going to do too much, but just in case some of our balls get out to, yeah, some of our balls. Haha, I made something funny if, yeah, it wasn't that funny. But I did say balls, and that's always funny. I kind of like the way this looks. Usually the preset look looks pretty awesome. Thing I kind of created there. But you can kind of play around with these settings. You can make kind of more of a ring look, or you can change the tail length, and you can bring it down for more of like a spherical look if you're looking to get that kind of more of a rounded kind of look. I kind of like mine about like right there. It looks more like a lightning burst. Ugh, I cannot talk tonight. Also, I kind of changed the random seed here. But one of the things I do like doing is going into our random seed, going into 0 out everything here. We're going to go to 0 and hit our stopwatch and animate it all the way back to our 5-second mark. So just put our random seed to about, I don't know, 200. 200 sounds good. That'll just kind of give us a little bit of, just a little bit of animation around our, real little bit of animation around our little shockwave here. But it'll do a little bit. And also we're going to go ahead and change our tint. Since we have an orange glow in the center, we're going to go ahead and change it to more of a deathly orange color. Or maybe a yellow. I kind of like that. I like that right there. As well, we are going to go in and create a glow. So type in glow. And down on stylize, add that as well. Now that adds a lot more depth to our shockwave. You can change the intensity and have this really go out, or you can just kind of change more of the highlights and change our radius a little bit. That way it really does glow. Right. Oh, that's looking, it's looking pretty good. Take it out of 3D mode. I'm going to hit the rotate button, and then we're going to go all the way over here, and we're going to go to 5, and that, since that stopwatch is hit, we're going to just rotate this a few times like that. So now we have this rotating kind of ball. Now that looks kind of funny, but we're going to turn on our motion. Oh yeah, we have to turn on our motion here. We're going to turn on our motion blur, and that blurs that out just a little bit. It looks a little bit more real. Looks kind of cool. I'm going to add a couple more motion Do some more motion there. A couple more times. We want this to be pretty quick, pretty fast. Just this awesome little energy ball. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate that layer, and we are going to turn both those layers into 3D, and then on this top layer right here we're going to spin it on the x-axis, and we're going to put that right there. Now I know you don't see anything right now, but whenever we start to orbit, whenever we add our camera, it's going to look pretty cool. So we're also going to duplicate this 2 more times. So duplicate it once and put it up once on the x-axis right there, and then duplicate it again and put it down here on the x-axis. So now we have this really kind of cool spherical object that we just created really quickly. So go into our layers, you're going to hit new, you're going to go to camera, and usually I just create a 35mm camera. It's pretty much the standard size camera, so that's what I usually use. It looks good. But in our camera, you can kind of look, we're going to orbit around this ball here, and now we have a completely spherical energy core. Kind of looks like it's an atom pretty much. So looks pretty cool. You can spin this around, do whatever you really want with it, but you have this really cool spherical core now that you can create and add to all of your projects. Now another thing that I do like to do, which I do recommend doing, is going into your camera and going into your settings and change your depth of field, turn it to on, and bring up your aperture and switch over to your blur level and change your blur levels a little bit to kind of give that extra 3D depth to really give that energy ball really nice cool look. Now adding depth of field definitely brings up your rendering times for your projects. Well, more your blur level changes the rendering time for your projects, but it makes this core just look really cool. And whenever you put this into a project, you can I'll tell you how in another tutorial how to actually put this project into another After Effects project to create that energy core like I did on the video. Pretty much all it is actually I'll just go ahead and tell you how to render this out the best way in order to put it into a project. What we're going to do is we're going to go into our composition. We're going to hit Make Movie. This will bring in all our render settings. Now you're always going to want to change this quarter to full, because this is what After Effects is actually going to see whenever it creates the project and compiles it all into our footage. But we're going to go ahead and hit composition, and we're going to hit Make Movie. We are going to create a sequence. So we're going to hit here where it says lossless, and we're going to go up here where it says AVI. You're going to want to change that to a JPEG sequence, and this will create a bunch of different pictures. It's basically going to rotoscope it out to however long your sequence is. But that's pretty much how you do it, and you hit OK, and then you find your file and you name it, and then that'll compile the file out. But I will also do another tutorial on how to put this into a project, use it, make it look a little bit better as well in that project. But for now, this is Tutorial Grid. I hope you enjoyed watching how to make our cool little energy ball here. I'm also going to keep creating more tutorials on these types of energy balls because there's a lot of cool little like energy cores and things that you can do to really create a composition or like an action star composition, or possibly, you know, like a comic book type of comic position, or a comic book composition, which we actually did in a couple of weeks ago. So you guys are definitely going to get to see that, and our little energy ball that we kind of created for that. But like I said in the beginning, I am Cherokee. This is Tutorial Grid, and you guys stay classy.